So since middle school, I really loved music and audio in particular. And so in high school, I designed and built my first pair of loudspeakers for myself. And then when I went to college, I studied engineering with the intention to start a loudspeaker business when I graduated. And so my senior project actually, as a mechanical engineering student, was the design of what became the very first commercial Hales loudspeaker. So by the mid-late 90s, I started to get a little disillusioned with the limited dynamic range of consumer products. And so I took a keen interest on bigger, higher output speakers, primarily the commercial speakers in commercial cinemas. And I was fortunate enough in 2000 to have one of the largest professional audio companies ask me to join their team and build a loudspeaker department within their engineering group to develop loudspeakers for, among other things, commercial cinema. And then in 2004, I actually combined both of my sort of previous lives by combining the hi-fi, high-fidelity sound quality with the high output and dynamic range of professional loudspeakers. And so that was the incentive behind founding Pro Audio Technology. The speaker industry really didn't adapt to the demands of movie soundtracks. Instead, most of the companies just repackaged existing consumer audio products and called them home theater products. But they were no better at reproducing the dynamic range and the impact and the scale of the sound required to reproduce a movie correctly. The transducers used and the efficiencies of those transducers just aren't able to scale to the macro dynamics of that kind of material. They're also worse at the microdynamics as well. So I spent some time investigating solutions and reached out to the professional audio world to get the technologies and components required to achieve the dynamic range of real music, instruments, voice, and sound effects. Since 2004, Pro has enjoyed great success in the high-end screening room market, as we were kind of unique in solving a problem that none of the other companies could solve. So we are quite popular amongst A-list movie stars, movie directors, folks, producers, people in the music industry, and that's what we've been doing for 20 years now. A rock concert might be between 110 and 120 dB SPL. A lawnmower might be 105 dB SPL, and anybody who's been to a commercial cinema recently will know they're quite loud. There are plenty of professional loudspeakers that can achieve the SPL, but they can't do it with fidelity. And so that's what Pro brought that's new, is we're combining, high-end, hi-fi, high-fidelity kind of sound with the dynamic range and the SPL required to reproduce movie soundtracks at reference level. So for a couple decades, Pro has been developing speakers very specifically tailored to residential installations. So you'll notice that the form factors, the shapes, the sizes fit very nicely into residential architecture. So our speakers tend to be more compact. And we've even addressed the Dolby aiming requirement by designing some new models recently that have the aiming built into the speaker design itself. So rather than having to point the speaker box at you, the speaker has an angled main axis built in so that they can be mounted flush into the wall, but still steer the sound back to the reference listening position. Pro makes quite a wide range of products, starting with very small compact speakers for surround applications in tight spaces and smaller rooms, all the way up to very large speakers like our 2215, which has two 15-inch woofers and a large coaxial mid-range tweeter horn. In addition, we have about 10 subwoofer models ranging from very small to also very large, 24 inches. With the entire toolkit, you're able to design systems for any size room, residential or commercial. Our speakers resemble professional speakers more than perhaps consumer speakers for two reasons primarily. One, they're built to be rugged like a professional loudspeaker, but also because generally speaking, in these very high-end private screening rooms, the speakers are not visible. They're placed behind very beautiful stretched fabrics and behind perforated video screens so that they're not seen. So when you buy a Pro system, you buy just that, a system. When you get the loudspeakers as well as the loudspeaker controllers, which is essentially a multi-channel power amplifier with a lot of digital signal processing inside that allows us to process the sound in such a way as to achieve this high level of performance, the high fidelity quality sound coming out of what is otherwise a professional loudspeaker. So Pro Audio Technology is very much engineering-centric company, and so because of that, we believe in measurements and data. And so we publish probably the most extensive, highest resolution set of measurement of any loudspeaker brand in any product category. So if you go to the website, you will see 7, 8, 10 different measurements of each speaker model representing what the performance of that loudspeaker is. We're perfectionists, we're proud of our measured performance, and we have nothing to hide. We put it out there for all to see, and that's just not true of most loudspeaker brands. Most loudspeaker companies don't want you to see their measured performance. Anyone considering building a high-end screening room or a high-end gaming room, or perhaps enjoys listening to their music on the louder level, likes the visceral impact of live music, should consider a Pro system, because we can deliver the high-fidelity sound quality of the consumer hi-fi speakers, but with the dynamic range and scale and power of professional systems.